From Hollywood to Worcester, Mr. Dick Van Patten and his son James join me right now in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, we know Dick Van Patten's resume. I mean, God, you started, in 1950 in your first movie?
Well, no, 1949, I did the first TV series ever called I Remember Mama. And that was on for 9 years on CBS, 8 o'clock Friday night. And so I sort of went from child actor into an adult actor. I grew up on that show, you know. But I had started in the theater when I was 7 years old.
And then obviously Tom Bradford on 8 is Enough. You would call that your claim to fame, of course.
Oh, definitely. I mean, up until 8 is Enough, people would recognize my face, but they didn't know the name. But I owe a lot to 8 is Enough. It made my name recognizable, which was wonderful.
Now, Jimmy, you have quite a resume as well.
I followed in my father's footsteps. You know, I started at 7 years old. I was a child actor. I did nothing but Disney movies and television shows and all that. But, you know, people nowadays don't really realize, but my father was a Broadway star, you know, when he was growing up. And it was such an exciting thing for me to finally work on stage with him in this show, because I only heard about how great he was on stage, you know. I think he's done more Broadway shows than any actor ever.
Yeah, there was about 5 years ago, there was an article in the New York Times saying that I had been in more Broadway plays than any other actor. I don't know whether that's been surpassed by now. Maybe not.
Well, most actors that I've spoken to have said nothing beats the stage. You could do your TV, you could do your film, nothing beats acting on the stage. What's your opinion?
Well, most actors feel that way. I would say 8 out of 10. I enjoy, I like the theater for about 3 months, and then it becomes redundant doing the same thing over and over again. I know I did one play for 4 years I was in it. And I'll tell you, I was getting punchy by the end of the 4th year, saying those same lines every night. I think the most ideal job, I've done them all, movies, TV series, and stage. I think being on a TV series is the best, because you're doing different material every week. The recognition is great. The money is the best. And I sort of enjoy that the most. But I am in the minority. Most actors like to do the stage in a live theater.
Without spoiling it, of course, for those who haven't seen the Sunshine Boys on stage or don't know the story, why don't you give us a little history of the story?
It's Neil Simon at his best. It's about two vaudevillians, a comedy team. And like all comedy teams, Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Martin and Lewis, every one of them, they've broken up at one time or another. It's very hard for comedy teams to stay together. They always seem to break up. Even the Andrews sisters, all those singing teams, they all break up because it's very hard to work together that long. Well, this is about a comedy team that worked together for years, and then they got into all kinds of fights and everything, so they haven't worked together for 11 years. And they don't speak to each other. And then CBS comes along and wants to do a special about all the great vaudeville skits. You realize that they really do like each other, and they do come back. But it's very funny lines. Neil Simon writes the way people really talk. It's very, very funny show. It's fun to do it because the laughs are really big.
We're speaking with Dick Van Patten and his son James Van Patten. The Sunshine Boys runs now through February 22nd, downtown Worcester, Foothills Theater. We're going to go see you guys on Sunday.
Oh, good. You'll like it. I promise you. It doesn't miss. It gets standing ovations every night, and the laughs are tremendous.
Don't ask me what this has to do with the price of tea in China, but I'm Googling Dick Van Patten, and what is this about dog food? Where do you come in? Where do you get hooked up with dog food?
You know, that's funny that you mention it. I have a dog food, Dick Van Patten's Natural Balance, and I started it in 1989, but it was only in California, and now it's gone national. We're in all the stores across the country, and we feed all the zoos, too, the San Diego Zoo, the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago. You know, it's a great endorsement. It's a health food for dogs and cats. There's nothing bad in it. It's called Dick Van Patten's Natural Balance, and it really is good.
That's very funny. In fact, I had a bag last night. It's wonderful stuff.
It's like my dad. He eats it, too. He tries to get all of us to eat it.
Dick Van Patten, James Van Patten. They star in the Sunshine Boys. It's Neil Simon's comedy hit now through February 22nd, downtown Worcester. And, guys, thanks a lot for coming in nice and early.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's nice to be here.